listening to AAO Radiolab 1. Hi guys, you're listening to the pilot episode of the Academic Advising Office's podcast. During our advising sessions, we discuss a lot of student issues and concerns, and we thought perhaps these questions are common for many of our students. Therefore, we opened an anonymous mailbox for letters from our students concerning their issues like family society expectations, perfectionism, study motivation, mental well-being, and others to address their concerns and feelings without fear of offending someone or being misunderstood. We have two academic advisors today hoping to help you overcome these challenges. My name is Mahunur. I'm an advisor, a teacher, and a former straight A student who stopped caring about grades after high school and has never felt better.
Hi everyone, and my name is Irina. I'm also an advisor and an honors postgraduate, constantly anxious about academic success and striving for perfection.
You notice how we're on completely opposite sides of this.
Yeah, that's true, but these are the exact two types of students at the NU, and it's actually very relevant to the first letter we are going to read today. So, the topic of today's conversation is great expectations and the stress and anxiety that come with them. Let me read our first letter. Dear AAU, I can't help but feel disappointed in myself since the first day of uni life. I was a straight A student in high school, and studying has always been a pleasure for me until now. No matter how hard I study, I don't get grades that satisfy me. What is my problem? So, this issue sounds familiar and it seems to be common for many students. What do you think about this, Mahunur?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to it even myself. So I was also a straight A student in school, as I mentioned in the beginning. So during my first year of university, it was a bit of a shock to find out that my usual, not really preparation doesn't guarantee good grades. I think it's a big transition. It takes time to adjust because the definitions of grades are completely different. A's at the university are different from A's at high school. So C, for example, does not mean failure. You need to consider adjusting or even letting go of your expectations.
Yeah, I would agree. I would also say that plus not every student will be universally good at those subjects in university the way they were in high school. So there will be classes here that will be struggle just because the level of work and pace of work is higher. So, for example, I was the math Olympiad participant and was good at math at my high school.
Wow.
And then as I entered Nazarbayev University, calculus courses instead turned into my biggest trouble, which required lots of effort and preparation on a daily basis. So, as it turned out, my high school knowledge was not enough to meet the basic standards for the course, which always caused me stress.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, for me, just like the author of today's letter, I never really had to struggle or work a lot in school to get good grades, but at the university, I had to face a situation where I didn't like a lot of subjects, and this lack of interest affected my performance, definitely, because I simply couldn't bring myself to put in the effort. So at that moment, I was also disappointed, but I think I quickly decided that grades are not something that I should strive for, so I stopped caring altogether. Only later I was actually rereading some of my notes and I thought, well, actually this assignment was quite easy and I could have gotten a higher grade if I prepared harder.
I always think so after the assignment.
Right. As soon as you submit it, right? Yeah, and I also realized that I shouldn't have held back my questions and let the fear of looking unprepared or less clever than my fellow students dictate my chances at better grades. So care more about learning instead of being too careful about your grades, because the opposite will make you less of a happy, motivated learner and it will damage your grades for sure. And sometimes we damage our chances because of fear.
I think that when we are talking about caring about all these grades, it's not good to worry too much, but it is important to worry a little to make sure that you care and you keep your eye on your goals and dream, but also to be realistic about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what education leads you to if you make the best of it, your goals and dreams. It's not about the GPA, not your class rank, class average. They are all just means to help you get to where you want in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you know already to worry, I'm sure you know what's important and to work hard. So I would say think of your GPA as a stepping stone. If it raises, congratulate and be proud of yourself. If it drops, just tell yourself to work harder next time. But in the end, you reap what you sow, so you know what's important to do for your future, which classes to work on more, which extracurricular activities to join, maybe doing an internship or getting a job. GPA is not the most important thing in the world. So believe in yourself and work for your dreams, not your GPA. And even if you are not sure what you want to do with your life right now, that's okay. Just don't be lazy and don't give up and don't not do anything, meaning get involved, volunteer. You'll be just fine. So, and if you get to where you want to be in life, you will thank yourself and the people around you, but not your grades.
Yeah, that's true. And another thing I'd like to point out is that as freshmen, you still are in the process of learning the new normal of university level work, which is definitely a lot harder than high school. So it's not unusual to see lower grades than you were used to seeing in high school. First semester grades are typically the worst, I would say, and they will go up in time once you guys understand the expectations and get the swing of time management. I also notice in many students that they tend to be highly critical of themselves and their work, and at the same time they believe that other students are having an easy time.
Yeah, indeed, even if as we read this letter, the student mentions feeling disappointed due to the high expectations and standards they set for themselves. What I think is that it is certainly important to work towards good grades in university because that is your primary commitment to study, yet it is equally important to put reasonable goals and standards, be more realistic in your expectations, and be gentle while assessing your progress. So we do hear many successful success stories from our peers, and instead of motivating us, these stories usually have the opposite effect. So by hearing other students get lost in someone else's goals and dreams and emulate them, instead of defining what success is for them personally.
Yeah, and I myself have fallen victim to that as well. And I also like what you said about being gentle while assessing your work and your progress. Because the intensity of self-criticism and the anxiety cycle frequently prevents students from reaching their potential. So, Zarina, what can you suggest in this situation?
So I have many students coming to my sessions feeling disappointed because of their grades, and what I usually advise is to challenge their thinking and consider what if I only got a B or C? So what would really happen in my life? Does it really have bad, irreversible, critical consequences? If to get back to my calculus story, I was afraid of getting a low grade, and I did receive a low grade. But what's interesting is that my life has not changed much with a low grade. While I was thinking that this might ruin my GPA in life, it turned out that it doesn't. What it did instead is that it made me understand my true potential and realize that I cannot be perfect in all aspects of my studies. Some are good at math, while I'm not, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I really like this exercise because, well, this is not to encourage you to have a goal of lower grades, but instead it's more like to challenge the unrealistic and damaging perfectionism that many students have, which actually hinders their best work. So if students can loosen their grip on their academic selves, what they often find is that their best selves can come through. So I would also advise taking a more balanced approach to your studies. Learn more about healthy self-care and how to support and recharge yourself so you can be better able to approach the work with the positive mindset. And it's very hard to find balance if you feel like you can't do anything but study. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that grades are unimportant. Of course they are. But so is balance. So I'm not encouraging you to not care and just trust that everything will work out. I'm just saying that if you're willing to work for it and use what you've got to make the best of your situation, things will fall in place.
I really like your idea about the balance and about this healthy self-care routine. So in my undergraduate studies, I try to practice some yoga and meditation to help myself here, mentally and physically, and I think that really boosted my studies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would also agree saying that, well, students thrive best when they find a niche of people on campus, whether in extracurricular activity, going to on-campus events, or volunteering. So, yeah, then you have more than 200 student clubs to join students with the same interests and hobbies. Or in our office, students can always join the group advising sessions or workshops to have new experiences and meet new people. What we mean is that if a student is single-mindedly in pursuit of grades, he or she might not be finding a friend group, having new experiences, or taking advantage of all our resources.
Yeah, and during the sessions, even students often mention that they don't really have time to do anything but study, or they just, if I ask them, like, oh, have you seen this or have you attended this, they would say, oh, I didn't know that this even happened. But I also understand that it can be intimidating to join a group of people and like meet new students. So as an alternative, I really would like to encourage you to attend individual sessions with your advisor. It's really important for us to support you in the right way and at the right time. And sometimes it takes just one good conversation to make sense of what's bothering you and how to overcome it. And it's also much better to first acknowledge the problem and then to solve it.
Going through this alone is difficult, so yeah, we're here to support. And I think that one of the key messages is that you need to try to focus less on the letter grade and more on the effort. So ask yourself if getting a B or C in class is really going to determine the path for the rest of your life. So again, back to my studies. I don't even remember any of the grades I received. So I only have my diploma. So I got the job, and that's okay. So
yeah, true. And no one actually asks you about your grades.
Nobody cares about the GPA now.
Yeah, but if we talk about self-esteem and disappointment, I want also to let you guys know that we as advisors don't expect you to be perfect. And you shouldn't expect that of yourself. Your self-esteem should not be directly proportional to your GPA or your major or your intended career. Free yourself up to be able to work with a clear mind and less anxiety about what your reaction will be if you get a particular grade or GPA.
And when time comes, you will be able to put grades into proper perspective.
Yeah.
So there are a few ways that I can think of how to make a learning experience pleasant. So first, ask the instructor for help. On some assignments, I would ask around for tips on how to do it or ways to improve them. All our professors have office hours, so attend them or don't hesitate to send them an email if you have any questions. Second, do classwork to the best of your ability. Follow all guidelines and criteria for those assignments. It reduces the stress of losing a lot of points if you follow all the rules for the assignments and even do a little extra times. And related to this, one of the key messages is that don't try and be a perfectionist. You'll be doing more harm to yourself trying to be perfect than good. You won't get all the points every single time, and that's okay. As long as you get most of the points, trying to do 100% on every assignment should not be a priority for you.
Yeah. Like we already said, grades aren't everything, and they won't be much of a contribution in the future. I think society teaches us a lot about success and how to reach it, but it does nothing to help us face failure. But failure is okay. It's part of life, and it can teach you a lot about yourself. It comes in all kinds of ways, especially when it comes to discouragement from a bad grade. So please don't be discouraged when receiving a lower grade. Because getting a 70% score on most assignments, or even one, sure, it can damage the grade quite a bit, but it's still better than getting 1 or no points at all.
So normalize failures.
Yeah. Well, that was a nice conversation. I think we covered a lot, and hopefully it will help students reassess their goals and change their thought process and outlook on academic performance. And once again, we remind you that you can always make an appointment with our advisors to share your concerns and be heard.
Thank you, Mahinur, for a thoughtful discussion.
Thank you.
And we thank our anonymous sender for your sincerity and trust. So we really discussed a lot, and we really had time to remember our undergrad times. So again, we'll have more episodes with other academic advisors to discuss academic-related issues and concerns, and some of them will also invite speakers from other departments and schools to broaden our views. So thank you for listening, and stay tuned. Send us your letters by filling out the Google form using the link in the podcast description, and we will answer your questions and provide our support and assistance. Bye!
Bye!